Welcome to the Functional Medicine Foundation's podcast, where we explore root cause medicine, engage in conversation with functional and integrative medicine experts, and build community with like-minded health seekers. I'm your host, Amber Warren. Let's dig deeper. Welcome back. I'm here with my pal, Annie. I'm so excited for this conversation, but we have to start with the bio before we get into it. Annie Tevelin is the founder of Skinal, a skincare brand dedicated to simple, effective, and conscious self-care. With a focus on plant-based, vegan, and cruelty-free formulations, Skinal was born out of Annie's personal journey with cystic acne. Rather than turning to Accutane, she pursued a degree in cosmetic chemistry in her early 30s, determined to create products that would heal her skin naturally. This journey not only transformed her own skin, but also led to help hundreds of others facing similar challenges. Annie's passion for skincare goes beyond the surface, offering her clients an opportunity to reconnect with themselves through thoughtful mind-body care. Cool. So wonderful. So we have to just start with just your journey and what brought you here to the Treasure Valley.
Yes.
Just tell us your story.
Yeah. I mean, Skinal as of this year is an 11-year young brand.
Okay.
You told my bio perfectly, right? It was acne and nothing in the world was fixing it. I was a makeup artist in Los Angeles at the time, so I had access to all of these amazing products, but none of them would work. So I took matters into my own hands to create my own line. And I feel like there was just a huge void in how acne was being healed. It was like, take your face off, exfoliate, active peels.
Or kill your liver.
Yeah. 100%, right? Accutane, all of these things. So it was there was a disconnect. And so I kind of went back into the world of pure plant oils and antioxidants and anti-inflammatories, and I healed my own skin, which was like literally like the worst of the worst. Okay. I've auditioned for a commercial for the brand that is out there that does infomercials for acne. That's how bad it was.
Wow.
So, I think I was like, there's just something missing here. And so I went back to school, as you said, and started healing people's skin after healing my own. And it just kind of, it was wildfire. It was like, oh, wait a minute. I need this for my son. I need this for my daughter. I need this for myself. And it was for 7 years in LA, it was a .com brand, and we had wholesalers. And then I got pregnant and I had a baby with my husband, and I had been in LA at that point for 17 years. And I was like, you know what? I think I just want something else. I was ready for another chapter. There was a lot of different parallel moves. My husband was from San Diego. He had lived in Seattle. Portland wasn't totally our vibe. And Boise just was like this place that just everybody kept talking about. We had known someone who had lived here, and we came in May of 2020 during the pandemic and stayed for 10 days and bought a plot of land within those 10 days and left and packed up our house and moved here in September of 2020. And it was just like it is the best place to raise a child, feel that community, I feel like every place caters to having children here, where in LA, as wonderful as it was in many ways, I always kind of felt like a little bit of a nuisance in places with a child.
Yeah.
So it's just been a wonderful influence on me and my family, and the right decision at the right time.
So that was your initial attraction to Boise, was just being family oriented.
Yes. And we had no idea that there was going to be this like whole exodus from all of these Western states into Boise. We were just like, this is an amazing place. Like, what a lovely place to raise a family. It reminded me a lot of Northern Virginia, where I was raised.
Okay.
And just aesthetically, right? The 4 seasons, a little bit of a winter, like it just felt like, wait, this is very familiar. And this reminds me of where I was raised. And it just felt like the right move, children were like beloved, like, you know what I mean? Like every place had playgrounds. You can't go into the playgrounds in the parks in LA. It's just not the same vibe. So we were we were like definitely like bitten with a little bit of love when we came here.
So it's been just over, you just had your 4-year anniversary. It's been over 4 years now. So you're calling this place your home.
Yep.
And Skinal, you now have a brick and mortar.
Yes.
In Southeast Boise.
Yes.
And I've heard it's just amazing. I can't wait to get there.
It's the first brick and mortar. I don't know if there will be another one, but I feel like Skinal is best experienced in person.
Yeah.
We've been, wonderful at managing that online and really curating a lot of really meaningful relationships. Our clients, for the most part, have been with us over 8 years. And I just felt like, everybody was like, why are you opening up a brick and mortar in February of 2021? Like, no one's ever really going to shop in store again. And I just remember thinking to myself, no, like, absolutely people are going to shop in store again. If there's anything that people need, it's that human touch, that human interaction, that, we offer so many different types of complimentary Pampers that are just kind of come as you are, come in, we'll steam you, we'll glow stick you. That sounds a lot worse than it actually is. It's like a lovely, very calming tool.
Steam you, glow stick you, we got this. Let's go for it.
Sounds like a torture chamber, but it really is like this like wonderful haven for people to come in.
Well, and that's what I was going to say. Like I feel like you almost sell yourself short. Like I created a skincare line. I feel like what you do at Skin Owl is so much bigger than that. Like I feel like you just try, and I know your personal story, and we've talked so much offline just about just women and feeling beautiful, and you do so much more than just heal people's skin. I feel like, and I'll be honest, I haven't visited Skin Owl, but just from what I've seen on social media and even just on your website, like it's so much bigger than just pretty skin. It really is, though.
I feel like I have built a career in an industry that historically breaks women and men for that reason, down. Yeah. The industry assumes that you are, not attractive and overweight and sick and lonely and single. But if you use this mascara, your life will change. Yeah. It is an industry of overpromising and underdelivering. And I remember feeling that as a young child, like first getting into, makeup as a kid, and it was so just like icky, and everything was airbrushed. Everything was a lie. Yeah. And so what I've really tried to do is just meet people where they are. And anybody who has interacted with us in our store knows that is a fact. And anybody who has integrated, or interacted with us in any way online knows that that's a fact. I don't talk to women about how this product is going to help them emotionally. It is simply supportive skincare. It is here to support and give you a moment in the day where you're in front of the vanity and you're, taking off the day and checking in with your under eyes to see if you need a little bit more sleep. Like if it wasn't for skincare or makeup for that reason, like I don't know if I would check in with my face at all throughout the day because I'm going and moving and hustling. Mm-hmm. So I feel like Skin Owl is a coveted moment in your day where you get to check in with yourself and say, like, how did today show up? Mm. And then I know for a fact, because of how effective and efficient the product is, that you will wake up the next morning and feel different and look different. But I just try and keep it very like in shallow waters in terms of like the promises of what skincare can do. I just think it's a lovely moment in your day. I think people could afford to have more of those soft little, sweet wins. Mm-hmm. And I know the amount of love and education that has gone into the product. And it speaks for itself. I try not to hard sell it.
Well, and I guess I should ask you this without me thinking anything. Why do you think you've had so much success? Because it's not like Skin Owl is just this small little thing. Like you've been on the Today Show. You've been featured in Vogue. Like it's a really big deal. And I love to hear when clean, natural skin products are a really big deal because I want them to be mainline. I want them to be, or mainstream, I should say.
Yes. Yeah, I've learned a lot over the last 11 years. I have met, a lot of these clean beauty founders I started with, and a bunch of them, started before me, the RMSs, the Josh Rosebrooks, Tata Harper. I mean, these are all brands that we were like the beginning of something, like right when it was like crunchy and then it became kind of cool. Like we were at the forefront of that. It was all about the founder. It was all about these like human owned brands as opposed to the big box department store brands that were like high impact, long wear. Like it was just like a different language started forming in the beauty industry. And I feel like we've never let go of that. And a lot of, we've partnered with Anthropologie, we have partnered with Aerie, we've partnered with FabFitFun. And luckily they've all been like really successful partnerships. But when the Targets and like some of these like bigger box brands start coming in, what I've noticed with my peers is that let's say you have a $68 product, but Target wants to sell it for $30. What happens is a reformulation. Mm-hmm. You know what I mean? Yeah. So you're still using argan oil, but instead of using 50% of it, you're using 10% of it, and you can keep the ingredient deck the same. But the customer is like, wait a minute, something's different. It's all the ingredient deck's, but something's different, and there is just so much cheapening. I think that happens, and it's these like I don't think I would do Skin Owl if it got to that level. I think I would close it. Yeah, it's just like too, it's too personal.
You feel like a sellout,
Yeah.
That's so interesting.
That's a whole separate
whole separate discussion, I'm sure. Well, it's just so cool. And I feel like we're in this world, and I don't know how much you've been following like the Casey and Callie memes or Food Babe and what they've been doing with like, the chemicals, food dyes, whatever in our food. But I'm like, and of course I'm like, this is a wonderful movement, keep this going. But it's so much bigger than that because it's also what you're putting on your skin, right? And what these little kids and little girls are absorbing when they put these perfumes and these makeups and these potions and these things on their skin. So I'm like, okay, let's keep this going, but let's also talk about what we're absorbing transdermally.
Yeah.
Right.
And people, get very overwhelmed sometimes by this conversation because it's like, oh my God, the house products and then the kids products and then what I'm eating. And like, that's it. I'm terminally ill. You know what I mean? And it's just like, I think sometimes that is really valuable because it actually holds up a mirror to what is happening in this country in many ways. Thank God we have small businesses. Thank goodness we have like people who are out there keeping the integrity, right? The farmers, people like myself, other small beauty founders, people who are doing functional medicine. There's a bit of that. I consider that a bit of rebellion because in general, if you are to talk about the personal care world, there is no legislation.
Right.
This isn't Health Canada. They don't have the EU standards. As long as you put it on the ingredient deck, it's use at your own risk. So from deodorants to body washes to shampoos to body creams, I mean, literally anything that is not considered an FDA-approved drug, which are, the acne treatments, things that you would need a prescription for. SPF is considered a drug. I'm not allowed to say that a product actually cures acne. That is technically illegal to put on my packaging because the only thing that cures acne are drugs,
right?
According to the FDA. So personal care products are like the Wild West. And there's beauty in that for people who are doing it right. And there's like terror in that for people who are doing it wrong. And it's cheap and it's like consumerism at its best. I could go on and on. It's like, I just try and say.
It's actually frightening.
It's frightening. So that's why it's like, just pick one area that is habitual. Do you use deodorant every single day? Do you use dry shampoo every day? Pick like one or two products that you're super habitual about and clean it up.
Yeah. That's good advice.
I mean?
Yeah. Simplify it.
Otherwise, it's like
so overwhelming.
It breaks the bank. People get crazy and then it becomes muddled. And at the end of the day, it is always the cumulative effect of these toxins in your body. Unless you have some kind of anaphylactic response or hyperallergy to something, what we're noticing in the science of personal care products is that over time, the habitual use of it could turn into something.
When that bucket spills over. Right.
Exactly. Yeah. Right. But if you're going to the hotel and you forgot your shampoo and it's some weird shampoo, it's not going to kill you.
Not the
you know what I mean? The stress will.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
So I try and just live,
And that's good advice for parents too, because I think with your young little kiddos, it gets even more overwhelming. It's like, okay, the birthday party cupcake, it's okay. Like you got to enjoy community and your child got to enjoy community. Like let that go.
Yeah.
Because they're going to come back into your home and eat
the big box brands are doing much better than they were when I was a kid. If you're shopping at Target, if you're shopping at a department store, Sephora, you're going to find clean beauty.
Yeah.
And maybe they messed with the formulations here and there, but it's still better than
still clean. And that's because of demand, right?
Yes.
Because the people buying the product are demanding better, cleaner product.
Yes.
Right?
Yeah. I mean, it's like the TikTok, Instagram world has just put that all on blast.
Yeah,
so
isn't that so interesting?
And people are getting sicker, I think younger now because of, I'm sure you can speak to that.
Cancer. It's a huge deal. So that's actually a really good segue. We've talked offline about just your journey, and it's so interesting because you're actually, you have the opposite of what most people come to our clinic with, where they don't trust anything in conventional medicine and they only trust natural, integrative, functional, holistic medicine. And you had the opposite concern almost. And I love your transparency and just you're who you are. And you shared with me your concerns, your fears. And I'm like, oh my gosh, I love this because I know exactly what I'm working with. And I love a good challenge. So I'm like, I have to get Annie's trust. I love this so much. So share, because it's such a unique battle that you were up against right away.
Yeah. I mean, to be honest, so much of this stems from, I think, almost a lack of experience with medicinal help. Like I think I've jammed my finger. Like that's the extent. I did have I did fall off 30-foot bleachers when I was 10 years old, but I had a skinned chin. Like that was literally it. I haven't broken a bone. I haven't got, I'm knocking on wood here, but like I've been very healthy throughout my whole life. I haven't had any chronic pain, et cetera, et cetera. So being treated for something is very foreign to me, right? And that works in a vacuum. And now I'm 43. And things are starting to come through that are completely foreign to me. You know what I mean? Low level anxiety, low level, digestive issues, fatigue, something that truly, in terms of my education, what I have come to call a hormonal imbalance. You know what I mean? Just like things just popping up for no reason, not in the same way cyclically that they used to.
Right.
So, and some of this stuff happened after having a child, but I think I was just like, I'm good. Like, I don't really need anything. And then that wasn't working anymore because I did need help. And, I had not found a doctor here. I was traveling back to Los Angeles to go see my gyno, and she would take my blood. She would do, she's the best. I love her. I will never leave her. I am indebted to her for many reasons, but I would literally go to her once a year just for like the blood work and the this and the that. I was like, I need someone here. And you came highly recommended. I had heard about you through a couple of friends, and I was like, okay, you know what? We're just going to, what's an appointment? We'll just go in. And I think it's like, when you are approaching and like attacking someone's health from a preventative place, it's going to feel more overwhelming than how Western medicine does it, which is reactive. And so if you're someone that hasn't been sick a lot, then there's not a lot of reactivity. Therefore, there's not a lot of prescriptions, and there's not a lot of call to actions.
Not a lot of things to find.
There's not
rocks
a lot of
rocks to turn over, and
So so I come in here and it's like, oh my God, wait, I need a vitamin D, and I need a B12, and I need a this, and I need a that. But it's like we're looking at the root cause, and we're looking at like the prevention of it.
Yeah,
you know what I mean? It's very like Eastern medicine in a sense.
Yeah.
I think it has taken me a while to get comfortable with this feeling that my body isn't fully optimized.
Yeah.
And I think cerebrally, I feel very, capable. And I feel like I have built a life off of like working really hard and hustling and overcompensating. And I think all of these things have now caught up to me in a way that's like, you need support. And that's really how I see it. I don't see it as I'm sick. I see it as that is the definition of supplementation, is to supplement.
Fill in the holes where holes need to be filled in.
And I think I'm just like surrendering to it, to be honest. Like, me, there are days where I'm like, I'm not doing that.
Yeah. But my favorite is you're like, nope, no. Why I'm not, which one would you do out of the 10? And I'm like, all right, Annie, we got this. You and I, girl, we can do this. It's so good, though.
I'm like the best client because I like buy it all and then I let it expire and then I buy it again. You know what I mean? I'm like literally the worst.
I'm like, wait, why didn't you? I didn't want to. I didn't want to take it. I don't know.
Apparently I'm like really happy being completely in like full suffering mode. It's just like, it's always taken me a long time. So, right, we start with the vitamin D and then that's good. And then I'm like, okay, now we'll start with the bioidenticals, right? So it's like, okay, the pregnenolone was working. And then we'll start like, it is always slow and steady with me. I also will admit that I'm extremely hypersensitive because some of this is just sheer discomfort. Yeah. It's like once I get past the anxiety of it all, it's, I have reactions to stuff. I get a little itchy from B12.
You're sensitive for sure. Yeah. But I'll argue this though, and I've said this a lot on this podcast actually. Are you just sensitive? Are you very aware of your body? Because I think there's so many people, a lot of my clients included, that walk around are completely unaware how scents, how foods, how chemicals, how emotions mask things in their body, affect their body. And one of my biggest goals with my clients is to make them more aware because the body is so good. The body is so brilliantly designed and so good at sending signals when something's off.
I think that's like, that might be the underbelly of not really feeling a lot of ailments. You know what I mean? Like I've been at 0 for kind of my whole life. Like I don't think I could count on one hand occurrences where I was like chronically in pain or uncomfortable. Okay. Like even pregnancy. And that's an uncomfortable thing to talk about because most friends, most people, that isn't the story. Right. So I've kind of kept that a little bit to myself because who would I be to talk freely about how free I have felt?
Yeah.
And of course, now I'm saying that that's not the case currently.
Yeah.
You know, so like it all kind of came to a head and I am relearning. I'm almost like reparenting what it is to be sick in a sense, or to feel under, or to feel uncomfortable. I mean, I think that's just really what it is.
Or just not whole.
Yeah,
Not
like,
balanced, not whole, not fulfilled.
Totally. Like waking up at 3:00 in the morning is fine if it's once in a while. You can be like, oh, okay, it was weird. It was a full moon. It was whatever you want to call it. When it's chronic, there's something deficient.
It's a problem.
You know,
and it doesn't feel good.
Low feelings, like that's just not something that I'm used to. So like, where does this low level anxiety come from? Where does this kind of fatigue come from? And I think I'm just out here exploring it because I deserve to be happy. And I think I've also had a really, really good relationship with adrenal gland fatigue, you know, because of how hard I've worked. So again, I think so much of this like worked in a vacuum. And I would, if anybody is listening to this and thinking to myself, like, I don't know about functional medicine because it doesn't feel like real medicine, or it feels a little woo, or I know people who are doing it and they're X, Y, and Z, I would implore you to try it in the way that I have, because I am the biggest skeptic, I'm the biggest cynic, and I'm fearful. And I'm out here exploring things and it's working. You know what I mean? It's working. And I don't know, I honestly don't know where I would be without it.
Are you looking for high-quality supplements? FunMedShop.com is carefully curated by the wellness experts at Functional Medicine of Idaho. You'll find high-quality supplements to support your health and optimize your body's natural functions. Rooted in responsible sourcing and utmost commitment to purity ensures that you're getting products that are not only effective, but also safe and reliable. Plus, you'll find our own line, Functional Medicine Foundations, which is carefully formulated using the best ingredients available so you can trust that you're giving the body the support it needs. Visit funmedshop.com today and take the next step in your health journey. That's funmedshop.com. But you came to me and you had done a lot of your own work. Like you had a morning routine, you were aware of the adrenal issues, you were aware of the stress issues. So the information's out there. Like people can grasp that information at the fingertip. But I think, I'm hoping what you're saying is like, at some point though, it has to become personalized medicine.
Yes.
Where it has to look at Annie's imbalances and not just how is that person going to sleep and fix their hormones and fix the nutrient deficiencies.
Yeah. Well, I also feel like, you know, I lived in Los Angeles where everything was at my fingertips, granted at a cost, but nobody was talking about functional medicine. And my friends in Los Angeles are still not talking about functional medicine. There is something about Boise and the Treasure Valley that is like living in the epicenter of a wellness like enclave.
So yeah, I'm so glad you went there because we talked about this a few weeks ago, and I was so intrigued because I'm a native. I mean, yes, I'm a native. I moved away to go to school, but this is really all I know as far as a home. And so yeah, when you were sharing your struggle with the Treasure Valley, as much as you adore and love it and call it home, compared to a place like LA, let's dive more into that.
I mean, if anybody's ever been to Los Angeles, they know that it's like you can get your lashes done, your spray tan, your Botox, I could go on and on with the things that you could do in one block. And it's just, it is that city, right? It's like, it's celebrities, it's all of it. So access to that is one thing, but conversation and like fodder about functional medicine and wellness is different. So I feel like Boise is a place where you have so many small business owners, you have so many female small business owners. And so what happens in this community is everybody, a lot of people know each other. And so now there's a lot of girlfriend marketing and everybody's like, you have this issue, right? It's a very candid, open, vulnerable community too. I've opened up to women that I don't even really know that well. about things
on social media or like face to face?
Face to face and
like
social media.
Both.
Yeah.
Okay.
Like it seems to be the first conversation that women are having here, which is like, I moved here for a reason. I moved here for a reset. I moved here to calm my nervous system. And so like, we're all out here in pursuit, trying to like manage these high intensity businesses, very intense businesses, while also raising a family. There's like a lot of people doing the same thing here, experiencing the same thing. And it's a smaller population, so the conversation is louder. And I'm not saying these conversations aren't happening in LA. I think it's also been 4 years since I've lived there, so it's probably happening now. But it was more of a microcosm. It felt like I had to like go into a microcosm of people in functional medicine in order to access it. Here it's like ketchup. It comes up all the time, everywhere, no matter what. Functional medicine and the woes that people are feeling. Like I can't even tell you.
But do you think it's just your world because you're in the wellness world, you're in the female small business CEO?
I have friends that aren't in this world at all. Like I could name 4 different genres of work that they're in, having nothing to do with wellness. And it's just, I'm 43. Yeah. My friends are probably 39 to 44. Yeah. And there's the dial's turning where everybody's just like a little under, a little under in sleep, a little under in mental health, a little under in just overall, like, mental, lifting the mental fog is now a thing. Like, and we've, obviously this is a hormonal response and potentially perimenopause. I don't know, but it's like, it's now something that people are very hungry to help because of how desperately people want to be happy. And
those women, that age, 39 to 43, is kind of an age that when that dial starts to turn and things start to change, conventional medicine is wonderful in so many ways, but they just don't feel heard. They don't feel addressed. Not a lot of practitioners, for sure males. That's not fair. A lot of males understand the changes, but they don't go through those changes, so they don't know what it really feels like internally, right? But there's just not a lot of options for those women.
I don't even know if they have the education. Setting. You know what I mean?
Well, and that's a whole nother, they for sure don't. Yeah.
My first appointment with you, I came in and I think I talked for 2 hours. And I felt like I needed to, right? Because the complexity is equal to the story. Yeah. So it's like, you can't just come in and say, oh, these are the symptoms. Like there's like a story to every woman and man. I think anybody who's like suffering in that way, there's a backstory. And I think it makes people feel really comfortable and really prepared and really confident in the treatment plan if they're able to tell their story. And that never happened once in a conventional doctor's office. And I had great doctors, you know what I mean? Aside from my gynecologist, what's been going on lately? It's like, there's nothing chronic that's talked about. The blood tests aren't as, thorough. Supplementation was kind of looked down upon. It's like, it's an Advil world. It's a name brand world, not supplementation. Sure. So I hear all the time, this has changed my life. And I think anybody listening to this deserves to say that too. Yeah. Especially if they're not as big of a scaredy cat as me. Yeah.
But the scaredy cats are honestly my favorite. Like when you said, like, I don't know how much I trust this functional medicine space. It's like, ooh, here we go. Yes, I love this. I love this because I want to make you a believer in this medicine and in root cause medicine and this holistic approach. And it's just such an interesting time to experience all of this and to hear your story. And I am just really intrigued. Like, do you feel like and we've talked about this too, like a lack of, so if we know there's this high volume of functional medicine, and I feel like, because there's so many clinics popping up that and I don't see them as like, competition. I see them as like, great, more of us to do more good work. It's wonderful. Because there are more than enough women that need help, women and men and children that need help to go around. But you mentioned that you feel like there's not a lot of access to healthy options or healthy exercise, healthy food here in the Treasure Valley. And you feel that compared to LA.
You saying that I don't feel like that LA had more of it than the Treasure Valley?
Just the access, not to functional medicine, to ways to implement functional medicine.
Yeah, I think that, listen, we're in a growing metropolis at the end of the day. Like, I would be a fool to expect LA to be like Boise.
For sure.
LA lives on its own little island. I've always said this, that LA is America, only sooner. And it's first access, right? And then like all the crazy stuff kind of goes through the filter, and then the rest of the country gets like gluten free. But like LA's with the venoms and the this and the that, like LA is what it is. You know what I mean? There's dark therapy. You go into a tent for 10 hours, and the amount of things that are just like going to CVS in LA is incredible. The amount of things that you can just like go and have an experiential moment throughout the day, just and like terrorize yourself in terms of like wellness. It is wild. I think coming here, what I felt was lacking for me, and I truly say this with love, but I think I didn't realize how much support I had in a community that had fast access to fresh food and had, no winter. You know what I mean? So like I was able to go outside and walk, and I just realized that like I had to change, you know what I mean? In ways that I needed to, and ways that I wanted to, and in ways that I wasn't prepared for. Like, I didn't realize that in the winter, I was going to have to figure out some other way to move my body. And I was raised in that weather. I grew up back east. I think 17 years in LA just created a disconnect, But I think there was just like, I just really needed support. I really needed support. And I think living, now that I'm in like central Boise, in the past, I would say 4 to 6 months, it's like an absolute surge of Pilates studios, juice bars, red light saunas. I mean, like but when I moved here in 2020, it wasn't like that.
Yeah. Yeah, I know. It's the last couple of years has been so intriguing to see how it's changed.
I really appreciate that. I think I'm someone that needs self-care and support, jockeying right up against the life that I'm living. Running a business, running a couple of businesses, being a mom. I can't tell you how much I value small business, female and male owners coming in and creating what seems like a wellness row. Like, it feels like it's the number one like surge in
the
businesses.
Treasure Valley right now.
100%.
So cool.
Boxing studios, Pilates studio.
Yeah.
There's
so many cool new gyms popping up. I agree. And not just gyms where it's like, come get a great workout, leave. Gyms that are trying to create community.
Yes.
And that's what I love.
Yep.
They're trying, they're embracing and trying to create an atmosphere where people want to talk, want to share, want to stay and have a juice or a smoothie and be in community. And that's how people heal.
Yes.
Especially in this post-COVID era. Where
and like mocktail bars and coffee bars that have like a vibe, and candlelit nights. And it's just like, it's just very therapeutic.
Yeah.
And like the Halo Therapy, Salt Sanctuary, these businesses that are just like, if I was feeling like I needed self-care, I could do a day retreat in Boise.
Yeah, that's so cool, and access it.
You know what I mean?
And compared to like LA, do you feel like it's a little more affordable or no?
Oh God, yes.
Is it?
Oh my God.
Okay,
It's insane.
Cool.
It's insane. You would think that with more saturation, there would be people being like, I'll lower my prices so that someone will notice me. It's the complete opposite. Like, it's just, as a whole, I would say it's just expensive, you also have people who are some of the best of the best. Yeah. And so they're charging X, Y, and Z. But I think it is, I would say it's changed significantly since I've moved here in ways that I very much appreciate, and I think are supporting and supplementing a society that, is managing a lot.
Yeah.
I think it's important to live in a community like this for me, and I know that there's a lot of other people out there that are feeling that too.
I'm wondering. I'm hopeful, and I mean, I don't get out a lot, but I'm curious if like here in Eagle and in Meridian, if people that lived, especially women our age, lived in areas like that, they would say the same thing. I think I feel it in Eagle. I spend most of my time in Eagle and live really close to this area, so yeah, I think I would notice it. But I also sometimes think, am I just in my bubble and hanging out with people that care about the fresh juice and the sauna and the self-care and want to spend their time doing a girls' day taking care of themselves and not getting wasted at the bars or going to the wineries all day? You know what I mean? Like, but sometimes I think I'm just in this little bubble and really the rest of the world isn't actually thinking alongside me.
I think people are, I mean, say what you will. This is my like unsolicited, subjective opinion, but I would argue that much of the population is I want to say this diplomatically, but in a bit more, and I'm not saying everybody, right? Everybody has their own lives, but I would say that after a pandemic that people are trying to pick up the pieces of their life more than they realize.
Yeah.
And, I came here and this was a completely different experience than Los Angeles. Mm-hmm. You know what I mean? Like I couldn't even like get my hair done there. I came here and I got like my grays touched up for the first time in 8 months. So like, I think the history books will talk about that time as something that just kind of brought a lot of people to their knees. Yeah. And if you were hanging on by a thin thread mentally, financially, to live in a bigger market and then to live here, I saw the dichotomy of what just that experience did to people. Mm-hmm. Dear friends of mine are therapists and they're saying the same thing. Like people are just in an immense amount of pain and they're trying to pick up the pieces and restore faith in humanity. And it's just a very divisive time, I think, to be alive. And, people need support. Yeah. And so I'm just very grateful to be living in a community where, I always say this, but all of my life's drama lives online. Like I feel like very good about my family, my husband, my son, my friends. Like I'm really clear on how good that is. And then I go online and it's like, it's insane what people are saying and the boldness and the divisiveness. And it's just like, what a beautiful like reaction to be able to then go and be like, I'm just going to go like for a walk along the river. Or I'm just going to go sit in this halotherapy room, or I'm just going to escape. Like there's not a lot of places that are as aesthetically beautiful as Boise, where you can go and like walk off the greenbelt, down some rocks, and sit on the edge of the river.
And feel safe doing that.
And feel safe.
I think I always underestimate how safe this town is, this city is.
100%.
I can take my kids and we can go right on the greenbelt and then go off with friends or go by the river. And I'm like, of course I've got eyes and I'm aware, but I'm not like fearful. And I think I underestimate what that is to live in a good sized city and not like just be fearful all the time. Yeah. Like that's such a blessing.
And I don't say what I said so that people can have a moment being like, oh, maybe I'm in more pain than I realize. I'm not like triggering that kind of self-assessment. I'm more so just saying, it's just so important not to leave yourself behind right now. That like, could there be more under the surface that needs care and needs attention and needs, you? Like it is a little bit of a homecoming, I think, coming to functional medicine. It is walking myself through a lot of patterns and moments that have been painful and scary and unanticipated. And so to start to feel like a younger version of myself, like before a lot of that stuff set in, is priceless. And like, I know I'm sounding like an infomercial for functional medicine, but I think truly I'm the last person to come here.
Yeah, I agree.
And now I am here. And I'm really happy that I did it. And I love that life can surprise you. And that's what this place did for me.
Mic drop. I don't have anything else to say to that. Like, that's the perfect way to, come full circle on this conversation. And I didn't, our team, our crew didn't want you on this podcast so you could say those things. I really wanted to just hear your heart, and you're such a great, wonderful human that just loves people, and you're so raw and transparent. And I wanted to talk about Skinell and just the talent you've brought to the area and the wonderful products you've brought to the area. But thank you so much for sharing that, because it's it is why we, and I will say we because I have an amazing team behind me, do what we do, right? It's to just help people bring their best versions of themselves to their job, home to their babies, home to their spouse. And especially, I agree with you in just what we're seeing politically right now and in relationships right now and with people's health right now and their nervous systems. It's just so sad. It just breaks my heart. And but there is so much hope, right? Like I will always be that glass half full girl that's like, no, there's so much to overcome and there's so much healing to come to this place, to this town, to this universe, everything. And but your stories, I think just so many people, so many women and hopefully men can resonate with that. The fear, but also the hope and then the trust.
Yeah, I think it's like, it's okay to be afraid of something, but it's also like okay to do it anyway. Yeah. And I've always said that, like, I can be afraid of this, but would everybody be afraid of this? Or do I bring my own like psychosis, you know what I mean? Like psychology to it that makes me afraid. And my husband always says that, like, Annie, would everybody be afraid of taking this? Or are you afraid because of who you are? And if you can say everybody would be okay with this, then maybe you try it. You know, so it's like, it's been this experience has been wonderful for me because it's, you know, forcing me to reconcile some of this. Like, I think this is like a wonderful beta test, and I'm like all about the science of things as a formulator. So I'm like, this is good for me. Yeah. And I think it's okay to like not have fear be this thing that's where it ends. Like fear is a conversation that I need to have with myself about, why am I afraid of this? Is it possible that this fear could be for a different purpose? And that it's showing me kind of the root cause of this fear, and now what to go and supplement myself with in terms of therapy or in terms of outlets or joy, you know?
What's the next step?
Yeah. And this is like also me projecting the amount of, you know, stuff that people have been going through over the last few years. Like, I'm included in that. So at the end of the day, this whole experience, growing a business, being a mom, coming here for help, like, it all is walking myself home. And it's all giving me lessons and experiences that I know I am grateful for, or will eventually be grateful for. And I know that the people that I have in my life are never going to do anything to hurt me. You know what I mean? And so I trust you. I trust my husband. I trust my friends. Like, it's all for the greater good. And I think I'm like you. At the end of the day, I will always choose, despite what I know about this society right now and my own plight, that like life is beautiful.
Isn't it? And
like, I will not have a life that I regret a decade because I was in a place of fear. If I take a step back, life, I've been given a gift just to be here right now.
Yeah.
So like, I very much understand the brevity and like the responsibility of caring for myself, because really nobody else is going to do it. You know, so I think, you know, nobody else is going to hear the noise and then feel motivated to do something about it. So, you know, we do the best that we can.
Absolutely.
We do one product at a time, right? We don't overwhelm ourselves with the responsibility of life. We're human. And I love it. We're human beings, we're human beings, not human doings. Yep, and I just love that. Yeah. It's just take a breath.
Be where your feet are.
Exactly. Be where your feet are. Understand and count your blessings every single day. And, you know, a lot of this stuff I think goes away over time because you realize how grateful you are to even be doing it.
Oh, amen. So good. So good. Where can people find out more about you?
Yes. So you can find me here 7 days a week, getting the help that I need. No, I'm just kidding.
You're such a liar.
You can find us on skinowl.com is where you can shop and see all, you know, the behind the brand. We have a brick and mortar down in Southeast Boise, 3122 Southbound Way. If you have any questions about your skin, your makeup, how to kind of audit what's going on your vanity, you can email us info@skinowl.com. And of course you can see us on Instagram @skinowl. And I love you all out there, and I hope to see you in IRL, as they say, one day soon.
I love it. Thank you so much, Annie. Thank you for sharing your story.
Always.
Thank you for listening to the Functional Medicine Foundation's podcast. For more information on topics covered today, specialties available at the FMI Center for Optimal Health, and the highest quality of supplements and more, go to funmedfoundations.com.